Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Yeah. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. No public here. Minutes of the February 24th, May 2020 meeting. I entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Warrants and bills. Oh, oops, is that working? That pen? I used to come here in the daylight. What a day today, huh? No, I got some other things that go with those. I don't know if some of these go with it. 488.87. 4 point. Okay. Okay. I have this Town of Rockingham website because you had a conversation with
Yeah, so
Bonnie.
I can
Yeah.
tell you what it's about basically. So the Town of Rockingham, Rock BF, is revamping its website.
Yeah.
And we've been invited to have our own little corner of that website
Oh.
where we could post, I guess, pretty much whatever we wanted. But certainly agendas, minutes of meetings, anything official that we wanted to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And probably things like committee reports
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. If we are interested, it would require somebody to put stuff on, and I will be happy to do anything to put up anything that the clerk does. Or put up, if you get them to me. I
So
will-
we could have access to put it up ourselves.
Yes, we would put it up ourselves.
We don't have to go through them and have them do it.
They don't want to be bothered with it.
Okay.
No. So one or two of us would get the password to get into our area and post, and instructions on how they want to do it, I assume.
Oh.
And I told Bonnie when I talked to her at the town meeting that I'd talk about it, and if there was interest amongst the trustees, we could invite her back and she could give us a show and tell and explain in detail what would be involved. But
What's her connection to it?
she's apparently doing the reorganization or
Oh, she is?
involved with it.
Okay. I didn't understand that. Because she didn't seem to feel she had any authority to... Does she have the authority to tell us we can do that?
I guess so. She told me we could do it.
And when I walked into the town meeting, they said, we're going to do this. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
So they want us
Who's
to.
they?
Bonnie and, who was with Bonnie?
It's the select board and the trustees who would decide of the town.
No,
Because it's,
I don't think it's the select board. I think it's the management, right?
Well,
it's
it's
town
a-
officials.
it's a function of the select board and the Bells Falls trustees, because they are the ones who hired the manager. We don't pay towards the manager. So this would be, they'd be letting us use their site.
I believe that they're already authorized
Okay.
that she was authorized to ask us if we wanted to do it.
All right.
That was my
Okay.
Yeah,
understanding.
they were officially asking us.
Okay.
That
Yes.
was my impression.
Yeah, that's right, you were right there.
Yeah, they were.
Who's the
officially-
other one besides
I can't remember.
Dark hair, weird
a man?
man.
Yeah, I can't put a face to him.
Okay.
I don't remember who it was.
I was just passing through, but,
Okay.
but they officially wanted us
Okay.
to be a part of it.
Okay.
And they thought it would be a good idea
Yeah.
for us to be a
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
And,
Now, there are certain ramifications. If you have a website, you have to maintain a certain,
presence.
yeah, there are certain things you have to do. So we might want to check with them to see what those are. Certain by the law or the state law, you have to do certain things.
Certainly you have to post your agendas.
Yeah.
You have to post your minutes.
Yeah.
You have to post warnings of any special
Uh-huh.
meetings.
Uh-huh.
You
You want
have
to put
to
your
post,
contact people so that people,
yeah. You have to post ordinances that you pass,
any legal things.
legal things, yeah.
Be good to understand what the requirements are
Yeah.
before we jump into it.
Yeah.
but
Because once
otherwise
you
it sounds like
start,
a good
you
idea.
have to. There are some towns that have discontinued their websites because it's too onerous for some
Hmm
reason.
yeah.
So,
So that's what
yeah.
we would want,
Okay.
somebody who knows,
Yeah.
knows what's involved
Yeah.
with it to tell us.
Yeah, and so they already have the page and they're already up and running and we've
It's
just be plugging
not up
in.
and running yet.
Well, they have had one.
They have had
Yes.
one, but
Yeah.
they're revamping it.
Revamping, you're right.
So they're putting up a new look and I guess reinstalling quite a bit of stuff. And so we would want to decide
Yeah. Yeah.
fairly quickly so that
Yeah.
they would put us
Yeah.
in when they do the revamp.
Well, I guess we're generally in favor, aren't we? I mean,
Okay. So we have some,
ramifications.
we have some questions, but,
Yeah.
okay. Would you like me to
We
get
don't have
back?
anybody, we don't have any employees who can do things like that.
No, it would be
We're
a
strictly
volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have a
Yeah.
webmaster.
No.
And are you willing to be that volunteer if we do it, to be the first one who's that volunteer?
Yeah, yeah.
You got that?
Providing that, I'm willing to do the official legal stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to put up everybody's committee's garden page or whatever
No,
yet
that
until I
that
get
wouldn't
used
be
to
on
it.
it. No.
But the official business of the board, I'm willing to do.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable to be part of the clerk's job,
Okay.
so.
Good.
In fact, I told Bonnie I would do that.
All right. We'll get your wizard hat.
Okay,
So it
So-
sounds like really the only open item is to get an understanding of what our requirements would be.
Yeah.
If we're going to have a website, what is it that we're required to
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
post on
yeah.
that? So that we meet our obligations. Or at least we're able to determine if we're gonna be able to meet the obligations.
yeah.
It's one of those things, once you start, you have to keep it up.
Well, should I get in touch with Bonnie and invite
Yeah,
her to
she-
come to the next
yeah.
meeting and talk to us about the
If she-
site
yeah.
and what the
If you don't-
requirements are?
If she feels that it would help, otherwise,
she's
if
the
she
one.
tells you-
If
Right.
she's the one, otherwise she'll
And-
put me in touch with
She
someone
wouldn't
else.
is she gonna be the one who knows what the requirements are? Cause she's not setting the requirements, they'd be legal requirements set by the state. So we would need to find out. from
Maybe the
s-
town manager knows.
Yeah, maybe the town
Um,
manager's knowledgeable.
Well, I'll get a hold of her and ask her
Yes, okay.
if she wants to come and if she can bring somebody who can answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think you can also find out online what the requirements are.
Secretary of State's office probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Vermont statute, the Vermont statutes are all.
It's probably quicker to talk to Bonnie than it is to find things on the Secretary of State's page.
Right.
He's
But
pretty
if
good,
I
though.
take a look, it seems to me I've been there before, so if I take a look and find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, are we ready to move on to the annual meeting warning? Here it is. The legal voters of Saxtons River are hereby notified and warned to meet April 13th, 2019. 2019 is 2020. Oh my gosh.
That's why we read it out loud.
2020 at 7 p.m. to take action on the following articles. Did I do them both the same? Yeah. Elect a moderator, hear the reports, elect the following officers: 4 trustees, treasurer, tax collector, village clerk, and 3 auditors. Vote to assess the tax, see what other action, authorize approval, borrow money, transact any other business. Yes,
Is the collector of delinquent taxes appointed, or is that an elected?
it's selected. Should we put that on there?
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
2 tax collector positions, right?
Does it say tax collectors?
Nope.
Collectors.
So add a plural to that.
Is it legal if I just,
It was as legal as changing the date.
yeah, right. Yeah. Did I say, what does this date say? Is there a date up there? No. This date is this 2020, right? Yeah. What are you looking at?
Calendar.
It's the beginning of school vacation, so, but they are going to open the school for us anyway. Yeah, this is the 19th August.
That's the day after Easter.
Yeah, Easter Monday. Leftover jelly beans will be on the bottom.
And peeps.
And Peeps, they have all kinds of strange,
You can get some pink and
Chipotle
yellow.
or something.
Chipotle
Oh,
peeps?
there's some strange,
Doesn't sound right.
no. All right, don't let me forget those bills either. All right, committee reports, wastewater treatment, I guess there's no report.
No report.
Fire station building, I guess they didn't have a meeting after all.
No, not last week.
No, it was canceled.
There was a meeting the week before. It was the week before.
Did he report on that one yet? No.
No, because we haven't had a meeting
Oh.
here since then.
Where's
Um,
Matt today?
I don't know. He said he wasn't coming.
He did say?
I got
I
an
didn't
email.
get an email. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
it came late.
Came late.
Well, we kind of went backwards.
Oh,
So he had talked.
talked
I
to,
wish I'd been in on this from the beginning about 20 years ago. So we had a plan, a blueprint, which 2 meetings ago, when the architects were here, we did some revisions which involved having all 3 bays go out that way, not the ambulance going out this way, removing second floor, and Matt reported on that. And they wanted a significant amount of money to do the sort of rough sketch that he wanted to have to bring to the
to the
annual
annual
meeting.
right.
And we were asked him to get something a little bit simpler that we could just do
Yeah,
something rough
yeah.
to bring to the voters. So we got that.
You did get that?
We got that, and we
Okay.
looked at that sketch, and Gaetano was there and objected to having redone this plan because it would involve a whole new set of blueprints and a lot more expense. So we ended up that Matt was going to go back and talk to the architect about working with the previous plan and just stripping everything out
And
that wasn't essential.
Oh,
And looking at, there would be a reduction in the footprint, I think, for that, with that. And have that available to look at.
did, well, everyone on the committee agree with Gaetano?
Well, that's what we eventually ended up
Okay.
doing, yeah.
So does that mean that you changed it so the ambulance would come out this way? Or
So
is it
it
based?
went back to the original configuration of 2 bays going
Yeah.
out into the parking lot, ambulance going out onto 121. And Art preferred that.
You did?
He said so, yeah. Now, where we go with this, I'm not sure.
So
And Matt would have to,
between now and the annual meeting,
we
we'll see something?
will, yeah, that's the plan.
Okay. Because we don't want to go into the annual meeting without any,
We have to have something for the annual meeting,
but we
yes.
want to know what it's about too. We don't want to go in blindsided.
That's right.
Okay.
When do we meet again next?
Well,
Next week?
the first Monday in, let's see.
No, this is our first
Yeah.
meeting of the month, so our second meeting would normally be next Monday.
Next Monday.
We meet then?
What's the date? Is there another week is before the, after?
There
that?
isn't, there, so
We've got a calendar
there's
here.
the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. So after tonight, there
So
are two
maybe we
more
should meet on the
Mondays.
23rd in 2 weeks?
I think sooner rather than later.
Oh, all right.
16th.
So next week?
Yeah, next week, I think, probably, because if
Well,
we're
then
only,
it'll be, then we would, then the next meeting would be the first Monday in May, April.
yeah.
Okay. Which
And
is the
when,
week
what's the date of the meeting? Is the second week in April, right?
yeah, the 19th, minus 7, the 12th.
Okay.
No, there must be another one in there. Where's my calendar? It's in here.
I think it would be wise to meet again next week.
I think so too.
And then if we're not ready and we have to come back, we've got another week to get back together. I don't know exactly where things are. Matt has been dealing with the architects himself.
Okay, so this is the 9th. We meet the 16th, then there's 2 more Mondays after that
Yeah,
in March, and then the 6th. And the 13th?
13th is the annual meeting.
It just says the 19th. Oh, yeah, 13th. Oh, sorry. It's 19. Wait a minute. Did it say 19? Yeah. No, 2019.
Shouldn't say 2019. Oh,
Okay, the 13th.
Changed.
Yeah, we changed the 20 part. That's the other one. I don't have the second one. It's a copy. It's over there somewhere.
did I pass it back up?
Well, you did?
Yeah, I did, I signed it, and
Yeah, but it's in that pile, isn't it?
I don't think so, no. I passed it on up.
No, here it is.
I think you've got it.
I have a minute. Yeah. Okay, so you want to meet on the 16th of March?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
And hopefully that's all we'll need, but I think it would be prudent, as close as we're coming to the
Yeah,
annual meeting,
Yeah.
to meet sooner rather than later.
okay. That gives us 4 weeks before the annual meeting. Okay. So, other business.
I have some.
Well, I do too.
Oh, okay, you can go first.
I had an email from a resident of Maple Street that there was a man there going around. He's the son of some people who live on Pleasant Valley Road, and he was attempting to break into like the Clark's place and Albert Darman's place, and he wasn't successful. And they called the state police, and the state police came and said, well, he didn't cause any damage, you didn't take anything, so there's nothing we can do. But apparently this man has a problem with alcohol mixed with opioids or Tylenol or something, I don't know. So that he gets very... So anyway, Albert is very upset because they didn't get any satisfaction from the police, the state police, that they could do anything. And Albert, is meeting tomorrow with the social worker from the state police to talk about what they can do about this person. I guess I don't know where he's living, whether he's living with his parents or but he was causing quite a disturbance in their neighborhood. I don't know if any of you heard any of this.
I'm not hearing it.
So he's concerned that the state police didn't think they could do anything, but I said that we have this sheriff's department is our police officer of note, and that I guess that I don't know if he's going to try to contact them too. So I don't know what we can do, but that's just to let you know that that's going on.
So who's normally in contact with the sheriff's department from the trustee board?
Nobody, not on a regular basis. He comes here, but
Right, so, and when he comes here, he says, is there anything of note? I think this would be
Yeah.
something worth
Yeah.
informing them about,
Right.
just to let them know,
Yeah.
so that they could be on the lookout.
okay.
And
So I'll call them and tell them that situation is going on, and
just so they're
Yeah.
aware.
but he
The state
apparently,
police may have already shared it with them.
well, he apparently
They
was
haven't
going
heard from us.
to, Albert was going to contact them himself, the sheriff's department.
Probably good for the sheriff
Yeah.
to hear it from the trustee board.
Trustees, right.
I think so too, yeah.
So it's very interesting that there's no law against trying to break into something. Apparently, in Brattleboro, they had a lot of car break-ins or attempted car break-ins. It's not illegal to break into a car if you don't cause any damage, you don't steal anything. So they're going to change the law, they hope. You know,
It's amazing what
yeah.
private property doesn't
Yeah.
protect you against
Right.
in this state.
So if you hear of any other people who have had issues with a person who's going around, I don't know whether he was visiting Albert or what. Okay. So what do you have?
Okay, so speaking of sheriffs, you wanna
Oh,
This
this
is
is
one
the
of
law.
those
The
down.
ordinance?
get everybody?
Holy cow!
Oh, I've been busy, yeah.
Holy cow!
So, this has to do with the speed ordinance. And so I've been talking to a bunch of people, and I got the most help from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Oh, good.
And what I have in this packet, which we won't discuss tonight, but we should talk about next time we meet. So you should take a look through it. There will be a test next time.
Okay.
There's a list of the contents here. This first item, this memorandum, the attorney from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns said, all the trustees should read this before we do anything else. So it outlines the
Okay.
procedure. And then there's some model ordinances. There's the current Town of Rockingham ordinance for traffic. There's a handout on setting speed limits and writing speed limit ordinances. And then a couple of documents on how to put an ordinance through once we agree on it. The process for warning and making it official. So we should talk about these things next time. I'm giving this to you to look at. There are 3 different models in here, sample ordinance templates to go through. And if nobody has any objection or nobody else wants to do it, I will try and put our wording into one so we can have that to look at next time.
Wow.
I think that having spent a few hours going through this, I probably can do something like that now.
So you said you would put it into one of these templates? Is there one that you prefer up to the others, or?
Well, I probably will take a little bit from some and a little bit from another, but it will mostly look like this template, I think.
The number 2 item?
The number 2 item, yeah. Now, one of the things that a speed ordinance may require is a traffic engineering survey. And it may not. It is required if you're changing any speed limits. I'm not sure, and I'm waiting to hear back from the attorney for sure, is whether it is required if you're not changing any speed limits on the existing roads. So that's something that we should think about.
I think there was one done some years ago by the Wyndham Regional Commission.
Well, there was one done by the town of Rockingham, certainly, or for the town of Rockingham, because it's referenced in their traffic
whole
ordinance.
town.
For the whole town.
Okay,
Which includes,
yeah.
it includes several of the streets
Yeah.
in our village that
Yeah.
would be of note.
Okay.
But, so I can take a look at where the speed limit signs are. I can drive around the village, it beats working, and record the names of the streets where, that are town highways and the town highway numbers and so forth, and put something together that looks like
Good.
one of these ordinances.
Are there, does it say on the street sign, it says TH, town
Yep.
highway? Yeah.
Yep.
So what does it say on it if it isn't a town highway?
Well, none of the models that I've looked at name things that are not
Okay.
town highways,
Oh.
but they're all towns. I mean, they're for cities and towns, not for villages. And so a village street, I think, might specify the village streets.
Do you have to specify the streets? You can't just say in the village, because.
Well, it makes a point that you can't say within the whole village the speed limit will be 25 miles an hour except as other, because that's too vague. And a ticket won't stick unless it's specific.
It says something, I just read that about it. Oh, it lists the towns in Rockingham, and it says, Saxtons River Village, a maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour in all streets within the village of limits of Saxtons River Village. So it,
You're looking at the town
Rockingham,
ordinance?
yeah.
Yeah. And within the Rockingham ordinance, then, it also lists
other streets,
other streets.
yeah.
Some of which are within the village.
But we don't have any streets, we wouldn't be concerned with any streets that were outside the village.
No, we wouldn't.
So all village streets would be 25.
School Street?
School Street is 15.
Oh, okay. There's some that are less than 25.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes,
I
there's a
think that,
maximum speed, so it doesn't say that you have maximum speed.
If I
Yeah.
remember, the reason why we started looking into this was based on the conversation with the sheriff's office about having the speeding tickets, the fines allocated back to the village.
back to the
right?
village, and instead of
Did
to
you-
the town of
Did you
Rockingham.
find out whether or not an ordinance is what's required in order to enable that to happen?
Yes, it is. It is required.
So in order for the village to receive the funds from a fine, then there needs to be a village ordinance that the infraction's written against?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's per the attorney at the Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Okay, so you got that far, we know that, so then the next step is if we wanna be able to receive that fine money, we would need to
We need to
put in
pass the
place an
ordinance.
ordinance.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Backtracking a bit, one of the things that I tried to do was to contact the village of Newfane, and because that was cited as the example. And so far, I haven't been able to reach anybody in the village of Newfane who really remembers or knows what they did. So the people who were on the board at that time apparently are not anymore. So
What's the importance of reaching out to Newfane?
well, I thought that would be useful to find out what their process was. It might make it easier for me to get in contact with the right people. As it turned out, not to get me anywhere.
No.
Yeah,
But,
it seems like you've done all the work at this point, other than
Yeah, yeah.
drafting the ordinance. And I think you may have kind of answered my other question, but I would assume that the ordinance we'd create would just capture the current speed limits that are in place. We're not looking to make any modifications to those speed limits. Is that right?
Well, that would be my assumption. I mean, we could that's something that we would want to discuss when we're discussing a potential ordinance, but I don't think any of us have seen any need to change any of the limits.
Yeah, I don't see a need.
And it would be much simpler if we didn't, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we should probably proceed like that.
I certainly don't want to raise the speed limit on any of the streets
Did you?
in my neighborhood. And we can't, except for special areas like school zones, we can't set it any lower than 25.
Yeah.
That's in the state statutes.
Oh, really?
Did you find out any drawbacks to having an ordinance?
Not specifically, but there are some I can foresee. For example, there's a requirement that the areas be posted, the speed limits be posted. I would think that if it's a village ordinance, the village would have to bear the cost and the responsibility of maintaining the signage. So that would be a potential drawback.
Doesn't the town maintain the signage?
Well, it's a town ordinance. If it's a village ordinance, I
But,
think
but this isn't gonna, there's still gonna be a town ordinance.
Is it-
there'll
with the
still be
same
a
speed
town
limits.
ordinance. There'll still be a town ordinance. This is a potential drawback. I don't know for
Yeah.
sure.
But
Yeah, we're not withdrawing the town ordinance.
No. It's not clear to me whether the town ordinance, if there was a difference, whether the town ordinance or the village ordinance would rule.
I believe it all comes down to what the officer writing the infraction cites as the
As a rule.
as
Oh.
the infraction. So if
Oh.
he cites the village ordinance, then that's what the infraction was written against.
Yeah.
That we had been told that one time before.
I mean, if there were a conflict with what the town ordinance said and what the village ordinance said, if we wanted to set a speed limit lower than 25 miles an hour someplace other than School Street, for example, and that's not reflected in the town ordinance,
I think once again, if the officer wrote a ticket citing that village ordinance at a lower speed, if it was in conflict with a town ordinance, maybe that's something that would get taken up, in the
it might be
court
litigated
hearing.
if somebody contested it,
Yeah.
But,
Especially if there were not a sign that said that lower speed limit.
yeah. So disadvantages, takes a little bit of our time to do it. If a traffic survey is done, we don't have to hire an engineer to do that. We can do it ourselves, but it looks like it might be complicated.
and it's optional though, right?
What's the requirement for a traffic survey?
If you raise or lower a speed limit,
Okay.
or if you
Which
are
we're not planning to do.
or if you are or you are creating a speed limit for the first time, it absolutely requires a survey. The instructions I've said just say a traffic survey is required. I'm not sure if it's required, should those conditions of raising, lowering, or creating a new speed limit. If those don't apply, we may not need a survey.
I would think not, yeah.
I would think that we don't,
Yeah.
but we would need to get an opinion on that from our legal counsel, which could, or we'll have the people at the Vermont League of Cities and Towns give us some feedback
I
on
think they
it
could weigh
first.
in on it. Yeah.
And they also will do a legal review, by the way,
Uh-huh.
for considerably less than a village attorney probably would.
A legal review of what?
Our ordinance.
A legal review of the ordinance that we propose to pass before we pass it.
Is that a requirement?
It's highly recommended. I don't think it's a requirement, but it keeps you out of trouble if you
Dots
do.
the i's.
It would be foolish not to have a legal opinion on whatever we do, even if it's boilerplate, I think.
Okay, great.
On a side note, somebody had asked whether we could get more of the please and thank you speed signs. So I contacted Evolis and they said, we'll sell you 2 more for the same price as last time. And it's $5,000 plus the cost of installation, which we hadn't anticipated last time. So just so you know, we could do that if we wanted to have another fundraising effort to come up with another $5,000. And the place, they would be then coming in from Westminster and Pleasant Street. just as information.
Okay. Any other business?
Who was that company again?
What's the name of the company?
Evolis, Evolis.
That's the company
Thank
that
you.
makes them.
Yeah.
Any other
Motion
business?
to adjourn?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wow.